Hey you guys, it's Leah Michelle, Resistance Chicks, coming back for segment number 2 of the day, January 29th, 2017. If you didn't see our last segment, go and maybe watch it first. Nah, just keep watching this one. You can go back to that one later.
Right, so, the question, we're talking about this, it's not a Muslim ban. It is a restriction on refugees into this country.
And it's only a 90-day hold.
Right.
Calm down, people.
I want you to understand, first of all, that Barack Obama had put this in order. This is the DHS travel restrictions from last February 2016. It announced that it is continuing its implementation of the Visa Waiver Program improvement and the Terrorist Travel Prevention Act of 2015 with the addition of Libya, Somalia, and Yemen as 3 countries concerned, limiting Visa Waiver Program travel for these countries. You can read the rest of that.
This is at the DHS.
Right, exactly.
.gov.
This is the Visa Waiver Program for certain visitors, and it goes on to say that Barack Obama had actually limited people from coming into the United States as well under certain acts. And the question is, why would the text of President Trump's executive order suspending travel visas be readily available on CNN, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal, but not on the White House? InfoWars doesn't think it's accidental. The limiting visa program was President Obama's action, not President Trump's. If we review the actual text of the order, which is actually written in like Trumpese, it's not like another executive order. What you will immediately notice is the order doesn't specify any countries to be included in the visa suspension: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. President Trump is not suspending visas from countries his team selected, but are simply suspending visa approval from countries President Obama selected.
Wow.
Additionally, Trump is suspending all visa applications from those countries, nothing to do with Muslim applications. In 2013, President Obama suspended refugees from Iraq for 6 months.
Hang on. Where were all these people crying out then?
Right, exactly. This is the ABC report.
An undercover FBI operation exposes al-Qaeda terrorists posing as refugees in the middle of the American heartland.
Go figure.
They quickly learned that lax background checks were to blame. But it turns out that's just the beginning. There may be dozens more now in this country as well. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross got access to the undercover investigation for Nightline Investigates.
This FBI surveillance video was made not in Afghanistan or in Iraq, but in Kentucky. It shows an admitted al-Qaeda terrorist who had already killed American soldiers in Iraq, trying to get weapons to kill more of them. And authorities tell ABC News he may be just one of dozens of men with American blood on their hands who were mistakenly allowed to settle in the U.S. as refugees.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are many more than that. These are trained terrorists in the art of bomb making that are inside the United States.
The chairman of Committee on Homeland Security under stinking Barack Obama.
That greatly concerns me.
The startling discovery of al-Qaeda in Kentucky took place in Bowling Green, Kentucky, a city of 60,000 people, seemingly far removed from concerns about terrorists next door.
Because they're hiding
Until these 2 men quietly moved in, Wad Al-Wan and Mohammed Hamadi.
Of all places in the world, or all places in the United States, why Bowling Green?
The 2 men came from Iraq 4 years ago, among tens of thousands of refugees who the State Department approved to come here, seen as no threat to the U.S.
No threat.
But the 2 were in fact, says the FBI, part of an al-Qaeda-connected insurgent group that had already killed American soldiers
My blood
with roadside bombs.
is starting to get up in
Produced
temperature.
this video of their attacks around the Iraqi city of Basra. One bomb killed 4 members of the Pennsylvania National Guard on patrol at a Humvee in 2005.
Those are
Sergeant Joshua Hedett-Neiman
our guys.
recalls.
It was a somber moment for the platoon. We had a great deal of love and respect for those guys, and it hit us pretty hard.
Warrant Officer Dan South was the only one in the Humvee to survive the attack.
Unless you smoke the guys that did it when it happened. Other than that, you never know who did it. You never know what happened to them. As far as you know, they got away with it scot-free.
And not just get away with it. An ABC News investigation found that the 2 terrorists Awan and Hamadi were able to get through a flawed U.S. system of background checks and end up in Bowling Green.
Let's not worry
One
about it.
living in this public housing apartment. on
Public
assistance,
housing!
Put under 24-hour surveillance by FBI agents Dick Glenn and others.
When we realized we
You're
had
paying them!
American soldiers' blood on his hands, it took it to a whole new level for us.
The other Iraqi lived in this residence near the high school.
Very scary.
And as the FBI would learn in the course of an
Very
undercover
scary.
operation, the two
Yes.
Iraqis were intent on killing even more Americans.
These two individuals specifically are innately evil. To be able to act as a terrorist and to attack and kill American soldiers and then have the balls to come over to the United States and try to do the same exact thing here from our homeland
Has
is
nothing to
unacceptable.
do with their
The
religion.
investigation of Al-Qaeda in Kentucky was launched based on an intelligence tip forwarded to the FBI's office in Louisville and agents Keith Carpenter and Tim Bean.
Anytime you have an Al-Qaeda in Iraq.
There's more. I think that we could learn a lot more. You guys can. I'll try to put the link to that video. You can watch the whole thing. So here's the thing. In 2015, Congress passed and Obama signed a law restricting visas from states of concern. And in 2016, Obama's DHS, Jeh Johnson, expanded those restrictions. All President Trump is doing is taking the same action as Obama in 2013 and applying visa restrictions to the nation states Obama selected in 2015 and 2016. These are Obama's nations that he selected, okay?
I can just see the cramping of the leftists' brains right now that are so fired up about this, because they're gonna be going, but just wait, let me think of I gotta come back for that. I know I do.
Right.
But you don't. You have nothing. Obama selected these exact same countries. He already put it into play in 2013, and this is Trump just kind of affirming that up. I mean,
Right.
You guys, come on. There are things that we do just as a nation because it's the right thing to do, and even Obama, crazy man, had to do it at
Right.
some point. I mean, come
Right.
on, guys.
Okay, so here's from the executive order. To ensure the proper review and maximum utilization of available resources for screening of foreign nationals and to ensure that adequate standards are established to prevent infiltration by foreign terrorists or criminals pursuant to section hereby proclaim that the immigrant and non-immigrant entry into the United States of aliens from countries referred to in sections 217A of the INA would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. I hereby suspend entry into the United States as immigrants and non-immigrants of such persons for 90 days from the date of this order, excluding those foreign nationals traveling on diplomatic visas.
And so on and so forth.
So, yeah. You know, the President Obama Department of Homeland Security already targeted those 7 listed countries for the past several years as nations of concern. In February 2016, the DHS announced that it was continuing its implementation of the Visa Waiver Program Improvement. I love that. Visa Waiver Program, we got to improve. And Terrorist Travel Prevention Act. I love these names. With the addition of Libya, Somalia, and Yemen as 3 countries of additional concern. The DHS, limiting visa waiver program travel for certain individuals who have traveled to these countries, the DHS noted. The 3 additional countries designated today join Iraq, Iran, Sudan, Syria as countries subject to restrictions for the visa waiver program travel for certain individuals. That was Obama. Okay? President Trump is carrying out an executive action in support of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Act of 2015, which relates to the Visa Waiver Program and Terrorist Travel Protection Act. President Trump did not select these 7 countries. The U.S. Congress and Obama's Department of Homeland Security has singled out these countries. Nowhere in President Trump's executive order does he single out any country for visa suspension. Instead, what his executive order says is he's suspending the visa approvals from countries already outlined by Obama's administration as representing a specific threat, such as they were categorized for extreme visa vetting in already designated. Now, here is President Trump's protecting the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. No, that's it's funny. By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, including the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section blah, 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 the United States Code, and to protect the American people from terrorist attacks by foreign nationals admitted to the United States, I hereby order as follows. Section 1, purpose. The visa issuance process plays a crucial role in detecting individuals with terrorist ties and stopping them from entering the United States. I love that it's kind of like, this isn't like normal wording. This isn't government-ese.
Right.
Perhaps in no instance was that more apparent than the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, when the State Department policy prevented consular officers from properly scrutinizing the visa applications of several of the 19 foreign nationals who went on to murder nearly 3,000 Americans. And while the visa issuance process was reviewed and amended after the September 11th attacks to better detect would-be terrorists for receiving visas, these measures did not stop attacks by foreign nationals who were admitted into the United States. So obviously, that wasn't working. We've got to try something else. Numerous foreign-born individuals have been convicted or implicated in terrorism-related crimes since September 11, 2001. I'm going to get to this timeline, and you are going to be shocked with the things you don't hear about. Every once in a while, you might hear terror thwarted, but you don't know how these guys got in here in the first place. After receiving visitor, student, employment visas, or those who entered the United States Refugee Resettlement Program. Deteriorating conditions in certain countries due to war, strife, disaster, and civil unrest increase the likelihood that terrorists will use any means possible to enter the United States. This is Obama. This is Trump's speak. The United States must be vigilant during the visa issuance process to ensure that those approved by admission do not intend to harm the Americans and that they have no ties to terrorism. In order to protect Americans, the United States must ensure that those admitted to this country do not bear hostile attitudes towards it and its founding principles. The United States cannot and should not admit those who do not support the Constitution.
That's a very valid sentence.
Or those who would place violent ideologies over American law.
Duh.
Sharia law can't be here. All right? In addition, the United States should not admit those who engage in acts of bigotry or hatred, including honor killing. I love that he puts this in here. I am really upset about these honor killings.
Every time you
really bother him.
It does bother him.
I'm tired of cutting people's heads off.
That's exactly where I was getting. Because every time you see an interview with Trump, he keeps talking about cutting people's heads off. They're chopping people's heads off.
Chopping their heads off. It's so funny. I cannot do a Trump impersonation. I can impersonate people, but I can't impersonate Trump. Like, I can say his words, but not the way he says it. Nobody can, I don't know, other people can. Okay, including honor killings, other forms of violence against women. I love this. He is for women. He is for the women. Or the persecution of those who practice religions different from their own, or those who oppress Americans of any race, gender, or sexual orientation. You know that Muslims are killing homosexuals, okay?
You kind of whispered that. Muslims are killing homosexuals, and he's defending it. You guys, he is not homophobic.
Okay, so I don't want to go over this whole thing for you guys, but just kind of pick out a couple highlights. You can go and you can read it. It's really easy to read. Trump is making this.
Trump speak is actually really, really easy to read.
I think he read it written so that he's like, I ain't signing it unless I understand it. You know what I mean? So it is the policy of the United States to protect its citizens from foreign nationals who intend to commit terrorist attacks in the United States, and to prevent the admission of foreign nationals who intend to exploit the United States immigration laws for malevolent purposes. I love the way that is written. There's nothing wrong with that. Who in the class doesn't want that?
Right.
Raise your hand.
If there's somebody here that has evil intentions.
Right. So he also gives the Secretary of Homeland Security, he says they shall immediately conduct a review to determine the information needed from any country to adjudicate any visa admission or any other benefit. Basically, what a lot of this says is that he wants to make the countries that we're bringing people in from bear the burden on how to vet people.
Right.
And so most of this says that.
Right.
And he's in this, I don't even actually say, I do not see a country listed at all in this whole thing. It's just under Barack Obama. So the determination of the information needed, and a list of countries that do not provide adequate information within 30 days of this order. Basically, what he's saying is that I need these countries to bring me information. You guys have to work with me on how to vet these citizens, right? And a lot of it is just saying that. It also says that On a case-by-case basis, when in the national interest, they can issue visas or other immigration benefits to nationals of countries for which visas and benefits are otherwise blocked. So he's not blocking, case-by-case basis.
It just means it's going to take a little bit longer.
But, and that's within this 90 to 120 days. He's saying that even in this time, we can still bring you in.
Exactly.
This is no big deal. Y'all need to calm down. You just need to calm down. He's saying that basically I'm going to take some time and reinvent this vetting process, right?
But here's the thing, I don't think a lot of you understand that reinvention of the vetting process cannot happen while you have this influx and flood of people coming in. You have to stop it in order to reassess.
So people already in the pipeline may be admitted upon the initiation and completion of these revised procedures. So he's just saying, halt. Haven't we all had to wait for anything?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I like this, and I'm going to play a video, but there is going to be a priority for refugee claims made by individuals on the basis of religious-based persecution, provided that the religion of the individual is a minority religion in the individual's country of nationality.
Which means, let's say you're a Coptic Christian from Egypt or something like that.
Right.
I know that Egypt isn't one that's been called out, but that's, a minority race in another country.
And what we have to understand that refugee status has traditionally been based on ideological or religious persecution.
Exactly.
So this is nothing new. We're not calling out. What we're saying is that we are going to give preference to those who have a minority, which is what the refugee.
What is happening right now in these countries where these refugees are coming from is they are mostly Muslim countries, and they are being persecuted for their faith that's outside of the Muslim faith.
Right. So I'm going to play this from Trump here. You got the muter?
Got the muter.
Persecuted Christians, we've talked about this overseas. The refugee program or the refugee changes you're looking to make, as it relates to persecuted Christians, do you see them as kind of a priority here? You do?
Yes, they've been horribly treated.
Yes.
If you were a Christian in Syria, it was impossible, at least very, very tough to get into the United States. If you were a Muslim, you could come in. But if you were a Christian, it was almost impossible. And the reason that was so unfair is that everybody was persecuted, in all fairness, but they were chopping off the heads of everybody.
Chopping.
But more so the Christians. And I thought it was very, very unfair. So we are going to help them.
I don't know if many of you notice or know this, but you didn't hear enough about the Christians being persecuted in the Middle East. The CNN isn't playing it. They're not playing it. They're not letting us know. And Trump is watching it, and he's seeing it. And that was one of the reasons that he was elected. And so when you get all up in arms because he wants to help the Christians, that was something that we pushed for. That was something that Trump supporters were pushing for. He's trying to represent the people, and this huge outlet. I'm going to show you guys in a minute some protests against this. I'm seeing cockroaches scattering. You know, rats scattering. People coming out of the woodwork. They've taken off their masks. They are the lizards. They are the V.
Don't say the lizards, because then people will think we believe in the whole Antarctica thing.
So
we don't.
I'm going to probably go and just take that little clip of Christian persecution, put that on separately, but let it be part of this. This as well. This might be it that I have highlighted. The rest of it, that's it. So for this segment, what I wanted to end on was calm down. It's not that big of a deal. Everybody can come here who needs to come here. But here's the thing. We can't let everybody in, and everybody's so frustrated and angry because the Middle East right now, they're having a lot of issues, and in all these different countries, and they're battling each other, and it's kind of stupid of us to bring in a bunch of angry, hostile people, right, who hate us, but they also hate each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we have to just be careful, and be peripherally careful.
Exactly.
So,
all right, so thanks for sticking with us on this one. I know that was super long. This is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Like us, comment. We love hearing from you guys, and subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3, and ring the bell so you get notifications, and we'll see you back here in a minute.
I was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you called my name.